Bingo. This is something that I need to address in myself. Ever since I started thinking that way, I have never obsessed about food since. It's Amanda with Eat Pray Crunch, and today I wanted to talk about something that is relevant to those of us who are really making an effort to eat a clean, real diet. I remember a year or so ago I was flipping through my Facebook feed, and one of my friends had posted this article about how they have classified a new eating disorder that they have put in the, what's it called, the DSM, which is like the official list of all mental disorders, what psychologists and psychiatrists use to diagnose. And they have added a new eating disorder, and I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me now. I'll look it up and put it right here. But this eating disorder is basically when people become so obsessed with eating a certain kind of diet that it affects them socially and their mental state. And let me say that reading about this was kind of eye-opening for me. So it's basically like when you are following a diet so strictly that you basically can't eat at any restaurants, you can't eat at friends' houses, so it makes it very difficult socially, and you're just so obsessed with messing up or doing something wrong that you're afraid that your entire world is going to collapse and that your entire well-being and your health and your children and everything will just completely go down the tubes if you slip up once because you're so obsessed with getting it right. And let me say that I definitely understand that mentality. I will link here in the cards basically the story of how we started doing a clean food, real food, traditional food kind of diet and why we did and how it basically has changed our lives. In a nutshell, we basically like completely healed our infertility problem through diet. And I have greatly resolved some of my inflammatory issues through diet as well. It's not 100%, but it has helped immensely. So that's the long and short of it. If you want to see all the details, I'll link that in the cards here. So before we did that diet, like 10 years ago, I was struggling with a lot of like severe IBS kind of problems, and I saw a naturopath who specialized in IBS, and they basically have you do a blood test where they find out exactly, pinpoint exactly which foods are giving you trouble, and then you eliminate those things. And I had to eliminate gluten, soy, dairy, and eggs completely from my diet overnight. And let me tell you, I mean, you can see the whole story in that video, but in a nutshell, it was socially and mentally so much of a burden. I couldn't eat anywhere because, I mean, you go to a restaurant and those ingredients are hidden in everything, right? I couldn't eat with my friends, and I had to bring my own food wherever I went. A lot of the times it just feels rude, like when somebody wants to serve you food but you can't eat it, you know? So even though a lot of my symptoms went away with that diet, it caused me almost even more emotional stress than I had before I started because of that. And that seems out of balance to me. So fast forward the last few years when we have changed to our real food, clean food, traditional food diet. When I was learning a lot about how to eat that way, I'm sure you are all familiar with Mama Natural. She is one of my heroes. She is so amazing. She eats almost the exact same kind of diet that we do. And so I have really learned a lot from her videos, from her website, how to eat well and to nourish my body. And she talked about this very issue one time about, you know, this feeling like you're going crazy because you're not able to follow your diet exactly. And if you slip up, you feel like the world is ending, you know, and how that's a problem. And she addressed this very issue. And I remember just watching that and thinking, bingo, like this is something that I need to address in myself because when I first started eating this way, I was starting to get a little bit obsessive about it. I mean, it wasn't overly extreme, but I really was pretty obsessed, like especially when my son was a baby and first eating solids, I was very rigid about the only things that I would feed him were traditional foods. But then, you know, after I saw this video, I was like, So the solution to this whole problem that she mentioned in that video, and I have also heard this phrase from a whole bunch of other sources, and I just think it has changed my life. It has changed the way I think about food. Ever since I started thinking that way, I have never obsessed about food since. I still am very passionate about eating this way. I care about it very much. I still try to feed my kids that way, but I no longer obsess about it like at all because of this phrase. So you guys may have heard of this, but it's called the 80-20 rule. So that means 80% of the time you follow your healthy diet pretty strictly. And then the other 20% of the time, you don't worry about it that much. So when you go out to dinner at a restaurant, you go over to a friend's house, you're in a group of people, people bring food to you, you don't worry about it. It's okay to have a little bit of sugar now and then, you know? It's okay to, have a little indulgence now and then. And when you do that, you are more mentally healthy that way. It's so important for us to not obsess about these things. Let me tell you, since I started living by this motto, it has just been so liberating. I would even say that we do more of like a 90-10 rule. I mean, because we just eat at home most of the time for the sake of saving money, and we have 2 little kids, and going out now is quite difficult. So I mean, at this point we're doing more of like a 90-10, so 90% of the time we're eating pretty darn well. But 10% of the time, we go to church and I have some cake now and then. Bill and I do share a chocolate bar every single night. Now, granted, it is organic and fair trade. And they say that like 70% cacao or more is like actually really good for you. So, it's a health food, right? But there is a fair amount of sugar even in the organic chocolate bars. And you know what? We don't worry about it. We still share a chocolate bar every single night, and we really enjoy it. And there are a few things that I am pretty firm about, and some things that I just have totally lost the taste for. Like, I don't even like soda pop anymore. Like, I have completely lost the taste for it. It tastes gross to me now. There are some things that I just don't consume at all anymore. We never ever eat fast food anymore. I have totally lost the taste for that as well. I really feel like fast food is like the worst of the worst kind of food. But at the same time, if in the future my kids end up going to a fast food place with their friends, like, I'm not going to tell them no. I'll just say this is something that you can do with your friends every once in a while. Halloween candy, I'll let them have a little bit of Halloween candy. And have a sugar cookie at Christmas time. It's not the end of the world. It's that 20%, and the vast majority of the time we're eating really well. So the reason I wanted to make a video about this is because I actually have talked with a number of friends in real life and on social media and with you guys and whatnot who have brought up this very concern that it's like, once you start paying attention and being aware of all of the nasty bad foods that are out there, it's easy to start obsessing about avoiding them, and how that can like really take a mental toll on you. But then when I mention this rule to my friends, they're like, oh, that's a really good way to think of it. I'm like, I know, right? It's changed the way I think about food, and it's so liberating. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. You probably have heard of it before, and if you haven't, I hope that that is helpful for you. I have even found it helpful, if you are in the process of trying to transition away from, more processed foods to more real foods, that this is a good rule for that too. I mean, maybe you need to just start at 50-50, and go 60-40, then 70-30, then get to 80-20. Maybe that's how you can make it a gradual transition into healthy eating without having that feeling of like, oh, I still love my M&Ms. There's no way I could ever be a clean eater, It's like, well, maybe you can still have your M&Ms now and then, but still work towards that 80-20 ratio, So anyway, I hope that was helpful for you guys, and if it was, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and share it with somebody who might find it useful as well in their road to healthy eating. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us, and don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to see a little notification every time I put up a new video. And be sure to check out my Facebook page as well if you haven't already. I post a lot of things on there that I don't have time to make videos about, and a lot of like the articles and things that I read that really shape my moderately crunchy worldview. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.